dass du dabei bist. Ah, jetzt musst du, glaube ich, accepten oder so.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
Right. Should I start now by reading out the questions?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so why did you choose to work in marketing? I think I've always been a strong communicator and I love psychology, especially buying psychology of people. And that paired with my passion to create content, I think that's what brought me to marketing.
Boom, you smashed it. Easy.
What's the best piece of advice about marketing you've ever received? I think always start with the problem that you solve for the customer is the most important piece of advice for marketing. And it's not only for marketing, I think it's also for starting a business. Always start with what you can do for the customer.
Nice.
And one, what is the craftiest way you've been prospected? So I always love it when people send me things. So that's been 2 or 3 times that people send me things. I always love that. Besides that, I love video and social proof. So I think it's really about sending out physical things, video and social proof, but overall just put in the thoughts and then people will love it.
Nice. Das hast du mir geantwortet. That's why you answered.
Genauso. Genauso ist es echt so, ja. So, gated content, yes or no? Or why not? I think you can't give a yes or no answer. It depends a little bit. If people can really get value out of it and it's not about the product, then it should be gated. For example, for us, we have like essentials guide to data integration. So people will really get value out of it and learn about what they can do for their business with data. That should be gated, but then educational content about the product or promotional content shouldn't be gated, like case studies, things about the product that should be free for everyone to see. So next one, what are the 3 best tips you would give other marketers to try to break down silos between sales and marketing? I think you can first of all ask people from sales what they need from you, and then obviously also give it to them. Show salespeople your quarterly marketing plan or yearly marketing plan in advance and ask them for feedback around this. And then also afterwards get feedback on how it worked out for them, for example, after events and things like that. So all 3 advices would be talk to your salespeople.
I would love that. That's great tips.
What tools help you most in your day-to-day? I think Slack for communication is really a game changer. If people don't use that, that is one big thing. Then the obvious ones like Salesforce, single source of truth there, as well as for us at Fivetran, Looker as our BI tool where we can get all our dashboards and all our data. And then one, if you're prospecting, like if you're, for example, in the German market and you have to find innovative companies, Crunchbase is great to look out for recently funded startups to see that they are always really innovative and into tech things.
Perfect. Super.
So.
Hast du erste Sahne gemacht. Alter, ich muss ja gar nichts hier vorlabern. Cool. Hast du irgendeine Frage, mit der du anfangen würdest oder let's just do it?
Ich glaube, die einzige, die ich nicht so gut beantworten kann, oder wo ich jetzt mir nicht so was richtig eingefallen ist mit den Top 3 Demand Gen Challenges und Pitfalls. Ich wusste nicht, ob das so eher general sein soll, so keine Ahnung, aber dann die vielleicht nicht unbedingt, aber die anderen, glaube ich, kann ich ganz gut beantworten.
Okay, then let's just dive into it. So, do you prefer marketing source revenue or marketing influence revenue as your main KPI if you go out there and look at your KPIs?
Yeah, I think for me it's pretty straightforward that I prefer marketing sourced because I think that it's like really gives you credibility. Obviously, it's also nice if you influence things. For example, people visit the wine tasting or coffee tasting. and you help to accelerate the pipeline. That's also great, but marketing source is the thing. And especially for us, we also have online purchasing where people can just put in their credit card.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just talk to the sales rep for 1 minute and then put in their credit card. And then it's basically your deal. And that is why I think marketing sourced is great, but marketing influence should also be there to support accelerating pipeline and things like that.
Yeah, very interesting. It's nice when they just swipe the card and you can take the credit for that. But like, what do you think is like the pitfall maybe of the influence one, like the marketing influence revenue? It's like something that's hard to track, or because I think maybe that was something you were a bit referring to, or yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes it gives you credit when you perhaps shouldn't get credit. I mean, it is the salesperson's deal. For example, like somebody from the business development team brought them in, and then they had already 2 calls, and you just booked them for a wine tasting as well. And then they go on to close, and you get like associated as much as the salesperson. So I always don't like it. I only like to take credits for things that I've really also done.
Yeah.
But obviously there are many ways to it. But marketing source for me is just the main thing, because it's easier to track is also a thing, I would say. Yes.
Yeah, I understand it, and I love this aspect that you're like a true marketer that just wants credit for what he does. But it's super tricky. Like for us, you know, when the buying journey is getting so complex, it's going back and forth, and in the end, you know, it's hard to make the clear attribution on who is actually responsible. So yeah, thanks for that insight, man.
And I think perhaps one more thing to add to this. As soon as we go like to bigger enterprise accounts, I think it will also not be as easy. Right now, like our sweet spot is more between 200 and 500 employees, those companies, and there's for us like two to 3 people working in data, and then it's always pretty clear like how that should be attributed. But once you go enterprise or things like that, it will obviously get more complicated. I will then still prefer marketing sourced, but marketing influence might be a bigger part as soon as this happens.
Yeah. Now, if you just think about these enterprise companies, how do you think that would change in that sort of way?
Yeah, I mean, like enterprise companies, you can say, they came in and then it's like a straightforward journey to close. So it's like they came in, I don't know, like on 10 different touch points. If you, I don't know, like, for example, take a Siemens or Allianz in Germany. 10 people signed up already, perhaps via marketing. Some BDRs brought somebody to a meeting. And in the end, like one of these champions comes in and then accelerates pipeline, perhaps brings somebody in that used to talk to us before. And then it like gets messy. You can't really then say like, it was marketing source because this person from the event signed up, did close in the end. I think then it gets a little bit messy.
Yeah, fantastic. Good points. So maybe we can just jump to the next topic then. And this is a big one that I've been discussing with a lot of people right now, is how you're actually making sure that you get return on your marketing campaigns, and how can you actually align that with your KPI goals. Difficult one. There's probably no straightforward answer, but I would love to get your take on that.
I think first of all, you always have to say like data and review. That is the main one, obviously, to afterwards see if it worked out. But that isn't like the most straightforward answer to the question. I think what is important is that you like plan out what you think the impact will be. And then afterwards review if that impact really came to life. But overall, I think it's really important to just try things as well. Like I said before, with talking to the sales team, it's important to walk them through like what are you expecting out of these campaigns, what do you think the impact will be, how they should work towards the KPIs, and then afterwards see like if it really did work that way. And then you can, in retrospective, always tell like what worked, what didn't, and then you're for the next time you will know what to do and what not, and then you'll get better and better over time. And obviously, like starting in a new market, it's sometimes like the first time you do things just go for it, do it, and then see afterwards. You can't always 100% be sure that you'll hit the KPI with that. I think that is.
Yeah. So a bit of like creating increments, sort of trying, benchmarking, but the question that I've been asking or discussing a bit is like, how are you making sure that you're setting the right benchmark? For example, if you like, are you waiting for a benchmark conversion to happen? Let's say like a CR of above X%, or an impression. How are you making sure that you make a benchmark that is like not too high, not too low? Yeah. Do you get the question?
Yeah, I think I get the question, but that is also like for some things, I think it's out of experience, you pretty much know, or you have a good feeling for that. And for other things, for example, like events, you sometimes have to see, because you can't, for example, like, okay, how many of the people from the event take a meeting? Yeah, if you go to like an enterprise event and where are only 20 companies there and one of them will close, yeah, perfect. But for other events where there are 5,000 people, one close might be a little too small. So you always have to see what might be the best KPI. But yeah, it's very difficult to see if this like if it really has the impact that you want to. But in the end, I think you can all boil it down to is the money you're spending in a good proportion to the revenue you're getting from it? And if not so, can you really, sometimes it's not backable by data, but can you be sure that like the brand awareness will rise from that?
Yeah.
If you can answer that question with yes, then you're fine.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, if we speak about brand awareness, like how would you break that down? Is it like in terms of increased, like shortened sales cycle? Is it by increased NQL sign up, or what would you look at that?
Yeah, that is very difficult to say for me right now, especially in a really small market where you don't have so many, or not a small market, actually very big market, but when you're not such a well-known brand, and you have to dig through the noise first of all. And for me, like, for example, what I do most for brand awareness are events that are perhaps like not have such a high close rate, but when you can see things like how many people you talk to, how many people saw your presentation at the show, how long did they watch it, perhaps also visited the booth afterwards, downloaded content, things like that. And like in also perhaps like right after the event, people come to your website, things like that. You see that. But otherwise, it's not really that easy to measure it. Single campaigns, yes, a little bit easier, but overall, like how it's rising, not that easy, I would say.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's probably a struggle we will have, for a long time, and until we have AI who can actually, solve everything and make meaningful predictions. Thanks. I don't know, imaginary scenario, Toby. Now you have to make your first marketing hire. What would you look out for, and why would that be?
Yeah, like for me, I actually thought about the question a lot, because like when you're a person taking care, one single marketing person taking care of a 100 million people market, with a new language where you have no content whatsoever in that language. Yeah, it sometimes gets messy. You're like more of a project manager than a marketer at some point. And I could imagine two scenarios. Like one scenario being hiring another person, which is a generalist, where we can just split up the work between the two of us. And that would be nice, where perhaps, one of the two would be sort of like the project manager, looking from the top down and then dividing the work. That is one thing I can imagine. And the other thing would be just hiring somebody for content. I mean, we have a PR agency, but just like for salespeople, for case studies we do, for everything, all the blogs, obviously we can just translate it, but it's not the same as if you would just address the market. And I think that would be my second choice there.
Yeah, that's cool. I think we heard the same from others, like generalists, as a duplicate or for the specialist. and that can do one thing in particular. That's cool. If you would hire somebody, what would you look at? What would you be hiring for in that person? A certain character trait, or how would that look?
Yeah, I think like the person should align with our core values. I think that is the most important thing for me. Obviously, it doesn't hurt if the person is already experienced in marketing. A little bit would perhaps be, yeah, very, very good. I wouldn't say mandatory, but very good to have. But then, yeah, just like for Fivetran, it's really about like one team, one dream attitude, ability to learn, take initiative. And yeah, if the person has this, I think nearly everybody's, if they are curious, if they make a good impression to you, everybody can learn anything. And that is the most important thing I would look for.
I love that attitude. Like, it's really winning about one, winning together, winning as a team, and then you learn together. I love that. So I know, Toby, you like to buy software. It's very hard sometimes, and there are a lot of influences. How long should you have a free demo? Should you have a free trial? But if there was some things that you could change about the buying experience of software, like what and how would you change stuff?
Yeah. First of all, I think like me personally, I don't buy that much software because you obviously have dedicated people for that, especially when you're a US company.
Yeah.
But in general, what I would wish for, and what I think in the software space is already pretty good, is, but in Germany in general, perhaps it's not there yet, like to really have that win-win orientated attitude, just to really like see what value you can get from the software, and people really telling you honestly if they see it's not a fit. Toby, you won't be able to make use of it. And telling you that is really important, or that you should only perhaps like take advantage of parts of the software and other parts are not valuable for you. And then always already people like looking into what you do, being prepared, and then like show you only the parts that are relevant to you. And if that is the case, I think everybody's honest to each other, and you try to create a win-win for everybody. You can't go wrong with that one.
That's so spot on. I think it's a lot about transparency, like, understanding your true product pains, and like, listening to you. And once you're ready to get pitched, or like to fit in, then choose the parts wisely, because oftentimes, it's like, oh, we have this great product, we can solve everything, and then you just smash or get smashed by value, and you're like, it's not actually like solving my pain that I've been looking for. But you didn't even give me the time to express that properly, because you're just going through your slides. Sometimes, it can be, even for me as a fellow salesperson, it can be annoying sometimes.
100%. Yeah.
This one is a really interesting one, and then I have a fun after that. Maybe that just not scripted. If we consider most marketing projects that every marketer drives take really long time to get results. Some get fast results, but usually, like in comparison to sales, it's about the longer term. How do you convince your stakeholders to get buy-in for the projects you want to drive?
Like I talked about before with talking to salespeople, I think it's really important as well to just build trust with all the stakeholders that you have. Might it be sales, your managers, things like that, and then always be transparent. Like, what are you aiming for? Like I said, some you are aiming for quick results, and show them what they're expecting out of this, and then go for it basically. And some might take longer. Be transparent about that. Always tell people how long it will take. What are you expecting out of this? Why are you doing this? How is it helping the KPIs? And if you, I think, can answer those questions, and people see that it would make sense, then they will trust you again, and that will play into your cards for the next time. So I think, that is a pretty good way to go. And for me, actually, that hasn't been too big of a pain, to be honest, in the past.
You're doing a good job by being transparent and being convincing. I love that. Cool. So fun one before we give the floor to you completely, Toby. If we look like in the future of like marketing in the next, maybe let's say 3 to 5 years, what do you think where B2B marketing will go, and how will like software and the B2B space change in terms of the marketing space?
Yeah, I think that it will go more and more towards personalization. So with the things that we are able to tell about people, the data we can bring in, I at least hope that every customer will get like a very highly personalized experience, where they might come to the website and already see, might not be in the next 3 years, but I see that in the future, like where they already get like their sort of personalized pitch, at least to their industry, see the relevant case studies, other customer that we have out of the country, out of the industry. Yeah, I think it's slowly starting to implement, but I think it will get higher and higher. And with, I think the buzzword for that is targeting, obviously, but I would like to consider it or name it more like a personalized experience. I think that is good, but then also not as much salesy and stuffing things up people's throats, but really being considerative and showing them what might be the benefit for them, and yeah, if they would like to consider that or not.
Nice. And now a completely random follow-up question, because we spoke about getting prospected, because you get prospected a lot, I can assume, maybe not all the time, but if we speak about that, there's usually a lot of cold calling involved, right? When people call you, and what's the thing that you hate the most, or maybe like about cold calling?
Yeah, I mean, actually, to be honest, first of all, I think there's not so much cold calling involved right now for me. I get a ton of emails and a ton of LinkedIn requests, but not so many calls. So first of all, I would say that I'm pretty surprised by getting a call. So that is still, for me personally now, still a good way to reach me perhaps. But then what I hate most is if people just start pitching right away and not take like the time to consider if you like in a bad situation right now, if you can't even speak, like you don't know. I know if somebody's calling me with a number, I don't know, during business hours, I obviously answer, assuming there might be a business partner, somebody from an event or so, because they always call like that. And yeah, perhaps what I would like to say is just to be aware that there's also a person on the other end of the line, but that goes for both parts. So also like the person answering the phone. I've been doing cold calls, so I would never like be mean to anybody calling me. I'm always like the nicest person ever.
Oh, that's shout out to you, man. Oh my God.
But then yeah, sometimes it's just annoying if people just pitch right away and also like hold you for too long on the phone. Because it's unexpected, like you should be mindful of that. But other than that, I think like if you do it the right way, it can be still a legitimate way to get prospects.
Great. Lovely. Is there anything you would like to add we have missed?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the questions were pretty cool, pretty straightforward. And yeah, I love all your formats, and thanks for having me.